through that little hatchway which lives behind those steps, and in there is the front access to the engine room, and that's where my valves are. Not looking forward to the prospect. Okay, it's the first morning in the yard here at Tidewater because I need to get these two Seacocks out. So this is the situation. The access panel is only big enough to sort of get your body through. That's the front end of the engine, and then down there you can just see it, this gate valve here. As you can see, the pipe work is fairly corroded. I think it's all good, but the problem is the gate valves don't close and they leak through their stems. So these valves, depending on, like, if you open them all the way, that it starts to trickle seawater into the bilge. They would get us across the Atlantic back again, but I've got this time to kill, and the parts are actually cheaper here in the US, so it would be silly not to do it. So that's my mission. So I managed to get this far. I got all the pipes off this one, got the hose tail out of it. I got to say the brass is actually or bronze, I'm not quite sure. I'm assuming they are bronze, but it actually looks like brass where I've chipped away at it. But I can't now. You see the actual through hull fitting is glassed through the side of the hull. I'm hoping to just leave that still for a minute and then rotate the valve and get this to the whole unit to turn. But to do that, I've got to actually take off the stem section so it doesn't foul the wall here. And it's big. I mean, this is all 2-inch, and there's just not, there's barely room to swing a cat in there. You can't. I have to be very clever about how I get enough leverage to rotate anything. It's turned out to be a bit of a mission. Right, so I've managed to get the valve out. I had to cut it in several places to get it out. It's a shame. There's nothing wrong with the metal. There's no evidence of corrosion in the housing, the through hull, or even the hose tails really. The only thing that's the problem is the actual gate itself, and because of all the crap that builds up on it, yeah, obviously that doesn't. There's no way that's ever going to seal. And that's the only reason why I'm doing this, is because if you close the valves, they never close all the way. So if you had say a ruptured hose, you can stem the flow of the water a little bit, probably down to half, but it's still going to come pouring in because the things wouldn't close anymore. So they did need doing, but it's sort of, I don't know, it's just probably never be able to get hold of quite such good quality valve bodies. But gate valves are not the right thing. I've got to try and find some other type of seacock and make them fit. But that's one out. I've still got the through hull to remove, and then I've still got the whole of the other one to do, which actually got worse access. So I think it's going to be a long day. So it looks like the way they've tried to secure the through hull fitting through the whole surface is literally just by glassing up around the sort of extended threads, and then that's, I don't even think, I'm going to dig a bit deeper, but I was expecting to find a nut in there and I don't think there is. So that's a little bit strange, but I'm getting there slowly. So it's a good day today. My new valves have turned up. As you can see, these are enormous 2-inch true design valves, composite, not bronze, partly because of cost, partly because I think the arguments against these valves is when they're the smaller ones, like the sort of inch and below, even with this enormous support collar things comes off, they're not as strong as bronze valves of equivalent size. But when you're at this sort of diameter, and also in a position in the engine room where there'll never be anything to move around, so it can't get like hit by a flying object, I'd rather have these because there's no corrosion problem. I think all you need to do is exercise them and occasionally put a dab of Teflon grease or something on the actual ball joint itself. So yeah, the way they fit, you have that goes through the hole, that threads in there, and you tighten them, screw the whole valve on. It'll sit down there. The only problem I've got is where my through hole penetrates through, it's not quite flat enough. There's a 5mm gap at the top of the support collar there, so I'm going to have to cast in a little flat, nice true flat mounting area. I'm probably going to do that in fiberglass, so it means yeah, some hot sweaty days sanding and fiberglassing in here just to get that good and solid. But yeah, I'm quite happy with them. They seem very strong, and yeah, as I say, down here there really isn't any chance of anything falling on them because everything in the engine room is fully secured and always will be. So I think it's as good a choice as any other, and for about half the price of the bronze Seacock, I think it's a good deal. So I've used a piece of ply to cast a flat surface behind it, and now I coat the whole thing in silicone thinking it would stop the epoxy sticking to it, but it doesn't. It's stuck on there pretty hard, so I think I'm probably going to have to chisel away the wood to get my flat surface. Another awkward job in a tight confined space. This is going to make absolutely riveting footage, this is. Probably about as much fun to watch as it is to make. Okay, that's pretty good. Clean it around the edge. It's a nice flat cast. Wow, that worked better than I thought. So at last, I've actually got my valves fitted on to the through hole fittings. I tried to use a liquid thread sealer, which would, well, the idea was it makes it a lot easier because you get more opportunity to sort of position the valve where you want, and then it sets and it makes a watertight seal with the threads. But I got the packet, I bought one, it's quite expensive, it's like $22 for a tiny tube, and it turns out that it's not suitable for plastic fittings anyway, so I had to go back to PTFE, and it always worries me. It's like, you know, have you got enough on? If you put too much on, is it going to effectively like over pressurize the threads and do some damage? I don't know, but anyway, PTFE it is. I haven't got the hose tails yet, all the pipe work in. I'll do that when we come back in the spring. But you would not believe how much effort it's been working down there in that sort of space through that little tiny hole, and in this heat it's driven me bonkers. And now I'll have to wait until next spring before I can find out whether it's actually watertight.